Raj Architecture here on youtube.com/MediaTek Social. One phone that has been creating a lot of buzz in the hardware space is the OnePlus. Here to tell us more about it is Bridget. How are you, Bridget?
Very good. How are you?
I'm very good. Now, you know, the initial bit of energy that's been coming around this phone in terms of marketing hype has been from the super geeks, from the forums, because a lot of this phone's roots around its marketing is based in routing. But let's just break that down for everybody watching who's maybe not from that world. Tell us about the OnePlus phone and what it's what makes it unique.
Yeah, so the OnePlus is basically a top spec phone. It's got the best specs you're going to find in a flagship phone this year, really. Fastest processor, 13 megapixel camera, 3 gigs of RAM, 64 gigs of storage. It's got a monster battery, so the battery life is awesome. And we partnered with Cyanogen for our OS, so it's a really customizable, light, secure skin of Android. They're just a great company. They have tens of millions of users, so it's just a really good partnership. And together, it's just putting out great technology, and through our business strategy, we're able to offer it at a really attractive price, so to get it in the hands of more people.
Tell us more about the Cyanogen thing.
Cyanogen.
Yeah, because that is, just explain that in kind of layman's terms for folks that might not necessarily know what it is that you do to a traditional Android phone hardware, software play. What does it do?
Yeah, so, so you got Cyanogen right on the bottom there. So basically, it's based on Android, so it's Google certified, ships with all the Google Play services or Google services. And Cyanogen was a custom ROM for a while. It was a bunch of hackers who did it as a hobby. And it's just they made little touches to it. So it's still a really pure stock Android experience, but it's so customizable. You can do whatever you want to it. They have a bunch of different themes, but a bunch of different little options. You can turn the software buttons off and make them hardware buttons. You can sort of do whatever you want to it. And it's really bloatware free, so we don't do a lot of pre-installs. It's really light. It keeps the storage on your phone really free.
So in real terms, if Samsung sells you a 64 gigabyte phone, you're not necessarily always going to get 64 gigabytes when you pull out of the box, because a lot of the stuff that's pre-installed on there is what makes it a Samsung phone, right? Software-wise.
Yeah, absolutely. They have a lot of pre-installs, and you can get them off of the phone, but it takes a lot of work. It comes out of the box really loaded up.
That's what the hackers used to do, right? They used to take that drudge out, and then that's what Cyanogen is.
Yeah, so that's why Cyanogen got so popular, because people would get a Samsung phone, love the hardware, and just throw this on it to sort of get rid of all the pre-installed apps. So this just comes out of the box really light, really bloatware free, and really quick. And they've done a great job optimizing the hardware for this, so it works really. It's got a great battery life because they've optimized the software. So yeah, it's been a really good partnership.
Now, here's a question in terms of the roadmap for your business and the actual product. I've been writing about mobile phones since '99, 2000. I wrote a thesis on it actually back in 2001. So I consider myself quite geeky. I'm an iPhone user myself. But you're talking about all the levels of customization that's available. How much would it be for a Joe Schmo or even someone at my level or below to actually be able to benefit from doing all this stuff? I mean, how would I think about changing the buttons and all that?
Yeah.
Could my dad do it,
Yeah, I mean, I can do it, so anyone can do it. I am not a techie at all. I'm not a geek in the sense of my colleagues are. I do love the phone though, and you kind of go through it, and when you go into the settings, there are just menu after menu after option after option. You just spend some time with it and you realize how much you can do with it. You can switch the buttons around. If you want to add more down here, you can do that, whereas on other more locked up devices, you just kind of get what you have and you can't really play around with it. So
the ability to customize is actually built into the software that you're left with.
Yeah, so it's all in the settings. It's just there's so many options in the settings, so that's it. I mean, people will get it out of the box and play around with it for 5 hours just because there's so many different tweaks and things you can do to it. So
when you start thinking about routing and customization, we imagine people like geeks with, this plugged in via USB to a very powerful computer and then typing in some sort of / mainframe shit, but it's not really that.
No, everything is here.
As simple as a normal Android phone.
It's the easiest thing in the world. You could, my dad could do it, my mom could do it, I can do it. Literally anyone can do it.
So tell me the backstory now. There's another part of the buzz is that you can only get this phone by receiving an invite from your company. Tell me about the backstory of who founded the company and what the mission is.
Yeah, so our CEO used to work for another phone manufacturer, and they're doing really well, but they're very much into the brick and mortar. They have very physical retail presence, and we just sort of see the trend going towards online sales. People realize that you can get great technology at great prices, and it just means that you buy it online instead of a store. So that was sort of the theory behind it. I mean, the smartphone market is super saturated, but this type of business model is pretty new. So by getting in early, we're able to really find out what works, maybe find out what doesn't, and it makes, because of the internet, you can be a global company even though you're in one place. We ship to 17 different countries because it's just e-commerce. You find the right partnerships, you get the logistics right, and you can go all over the world.
Right. So in real terms, that means that you don't have the expensive Apple store with the expensive designs. You don't have the expensive Samsung store. You have a phone which you said is probably par to par with the Samsung S5, which costs several £100s to buy offline, depending on which territory you're in. What is the pricing behind this phone?
We sell the hardware basically at cost. So it's $350 for 64 gigabytes of storage, and we sell the 16 gigs for $300 US. So we sell it basically at cost.
And one of the benefits for that is that you get to put in any SIM card. You can travel with it very easily. Have you heard from the networks about the threat of taking that power away from them?
The networks are interested. They're definitely interested. We've had some really interesting talks and potential partnerships coming up. And eventually, we'd love to put the phone in stores. We just want to make sure it's going to benefit our users and benefit both parties. And we're open to everything. I think that's startups. Like we're a startup. We're open to everything. We're growing really quickly. We're getting really interesting people talking to us. So we're certainly open.
Which is the most interesting of the revenue roadmaps for you? Which is the most interesting in terms of way of monetizing? Because obviously you're giving it away at cost. When you say cost on the geeky business side, that's cost including the salaries of all the people that are working there, right?
So this is the cost of the hardware. So we just sell it at the cost of the hardware. If the cost of the phone goes up, it'll because the cost of the components goes up. Eventually, as you scale, the cost of components comes down because you're selling more units. But it's never going to be really our main stream of revenue. Eventually, you find ways to monetize through software and services.
So potentially, would you consider, ironically, creating your own additional bits and pieces of software that you can put in there, so that rather than having the full bloated Samsung experience, but maybe some that come directly from OnePlus that you can put in and customize as you please?
Yeah, I think it's exciting because we're so new and we have everything open to us. Some of it, we have a huge forum with 300,000 people, and they suggest things all the time that they would love pre-installed. So if it makes sense for our users and they're going to like it, we're totally open to it. We're just not going to throw stuff on there just to make money. We're very user-oriented. We think about the product and the service, and everything else is kind of trial and error, see what people like, see what people don't.
I'm really excited by it. I think it's great. I think it's quite liberating for the industry. And I think, when we were speaking off camera before, there's already a change in Europe where people are looking for more and more offline phones. And coming in with this much value so early in the game, rather than spending years finding out how to get here, I think is great in terms of what you guys are doing. So thanks so much for talking to us about it today. In closing, it's 22,000 people passing through Web Summit this year in Dublin. How have you found it as a startup exhibiting here?
It's been fantastic. So our whole team is in China, so just to come to Europe and get to meet people is great. But we're not chasing investors. We're not chasing media. We just want to talk to fans, and we've had so many people come by who already have the One, and it's so exciting. And just getting to talk to people who buy it and just chat about with them what they like, what they don't like. That's such great feedback for us. So Summit has been wonderful to us. It's been fun. Great nights out, great dinners. It's been awesome.
I really feel like we're capturing this at the beginning of a very interesting and incredible journey for your company, and I hope it continues. So thanks so much for talking to us, Bridget. If you want to check out the rest of the videos, make sure you subscribe at youtube.com/MediaTechSocial, or check out the show notes where there'll be links to this product and more on MediaTechSocial.com. Thanks for checking us out.